Longer term, I think the mild, wet, horrible weather will win out for a week or so as we go into next week, which raises the prospect of flooding, I'm afraid, quite a lot of rain. That caters for the next week or so. But the indications are that the global drivers of the atmosphere are hinting that that cold air, which is still resident in Europe, it's a very, very frigid setup across much of Europe and Russia, that cold air might start to fight back as we head towards mid-month.
Who is facing the worst of it this morning?
Okay, so it's mostly in terms of snowfall, the high ground of Wales, the Midlands, Northern England. I'm high up in the Pennines here, and it's snowing outside. It looks like a winter wonderland, but thankfully I haven't got to drive anywhere, and I won't be driving anywhere today because these sorts of areas, the higher settlements of Northern England, North Wales, the Peak District, are going to see several more centimetres of snow. And it's not just the side roads as well. Of course, the M62 goes to a very high level across the Pennines as well. So these sort of areas will be affected, and they already are being affected as I speak, by heavy snow. Further down, it's rain. In fact, much of southern Britain is much milder now. Southern England, I've just checked, is around 8 or 9 degrees. No chance of snow across the south today, just plain old rain. But plain old rain is going to cause enough problems. And that rain's going to continue on and off through the rest of the day. But that's that zone further north. So for North Wales, the Peak District, the Pennines, up into southern Scotland, here further heavy snowfall to higher levels. It's going to be that wet, sticky snow. It's going to cause problems. It could well drift as the wind picks up as well. For Scotland, here we're deep in the freeze at the moment. We're well below freezing. We're going to see further sleet and snow showers, particularly for eastern Scotland. Northern Ireland is also very cold and frosty at the moment. So in essence, in simple terms, you've got the country divided, okay? Across the south, it's milder. We've lost that frigid air we had a couple of days ago, and we're not going to see any snowfall, just a lot of rain. For the north, it's still cold. We're still in the Arctic here, and we're going to see further snowfall up over the high ground in particular. Now, as you mentioned, that snow that fell a few days ago across Cumbria, that will have thawed to some extent yesterday and then refrozen overnight tonight. So for Cumbria this morning, it'll be a bit of a skate rink, I would imagine, and any thawing that takes place across Cumbria today will only be very slow. Very slow. That's a blessing in some senses, Rosie, because what we don't want is a rapid thaw of a foot of snow. And I don't think that's going to happen to any great extent. It'll be a gradual thaw, which means that mitigates against any real flooding concerns. But longer term, that cold air is going to sweep back down again later on tonight and into tomorrow. So by tomorrow, Rosie, we're all back in the cold air. So we're talking about widespread frosts again as we head towards midweek. Further ice issues, even across the south, I fancy, given the amount of rain that's fallen over the last day or so. So the cold fights back towards the middle of the week. And then guess what? The next weather system comes in off the Atlantic and tries to shunt that cold air away again. So we could well be talking in a couple of days once more about rain in the south and snow in the north. And it's this battle between the mild and the cold, which are going to be jostling for supremacy as we go through the rest of this week. Longer term, I think the mild, wet, horrible weather will win out for a week or so as we go into next week, which raises the prospect of flooding, I'm afraid, quite a lot of rain. That caters for the next week or so. But the indications are that the global drivers of the atmosphere are hinting that that cold air, which is still resident in Europe, it's a very, very frigid setup across much of Europe and Russia, that cold air might start to fight back as we head towards mid-month. And there are real indications that some unusually cold air might head our way as we head towards Christmas. I'm not going to promise anything at this stage, but certainly later on in December.
You're anticipating what I might ask.
Well, I know I am. Certainly, there are some, well, more than hints and quite strong indications that as we head towards the second half of December, the cold is going to rush back towards us, probably from the north or the east. And that does raise the hopes, perhaps, for some of us of a white Christmas.
When's the earliest, John, that someone's asked you to make a genuine prediction about whether there'll be snow on Christmas Day?
Boxing Day. No, in all honesty, I wouldn't want to put any money on a white Christmas before about 4 or 5 days before the big day.
When was the last time that we had one?
you got me there. I wish I'd known that you were going to ask me that question.
It's mean. I should have texted you before.
Yeah, you should have done. And certainly in terms of a widespread white Christmas on Christmas Day, I mean, we have to go back, probably 15, 20 years. I can remember a widespread white Christmas in 1981. And I can remember when I was about 3 years old, we got some old cine film of me and Father Christmas on Christmas Day, and that was in 1970. So they are rarer than hen's teeth. And they will continue to be rarer in the future, no doubt about it. But maybe this year, the possibility is somewhat higher than it normally is because of those big drivers in the atmosphere, which I was mentioning.